Well, good morning, everybody. Today I want to talk to you about what I chose to aerate my pond. You can see it running right over here. You can see the bubbles coming up and the wake coming off of it. I chose to do an air pump with a diffuser at the bottom of the pond, as opposed to like the fountain setup that you see in a lot of ponds. I don't know a lot of people that have one of these, but I read a lot of stuff online that said these are a better way to go for what I was trying to accomplish. And there's a couple of things that go along with this and the reason why I chose this setup. Um, the first thing is you're oxygenating from the bottom of the pond and you're circulating the water. You're taking the oxygen depleted water from the bottom and you're circulating it to the top. And it's going to do a couple of things for you. One, it's obviously putting oxygen in the pond. Two, it's causing this little bit of ripple on the water and it's blasting the water from the bottom to the top. So in the wintertime, your pond isn't going to freeze over the way that it would. Here, let me get you a little closer, you can see it. But so what this is going to do, all these little ripples, they keep the water from freezing. And what I failed to do last year, I didn't have it running during the coldest months and this whole pond froze over. Here in the south, we usually don't get cold enough for it to freeze a pond completely over. We usually get ice around the banks, but this last year was so cold, it froze the entire lake. If I had to had this running, there would have been a big hole right here at minimum that would have allowed the pond to breathe. So what I've also tried to do with this is I've tried to get this thing out as far away, not technically as far away from the house as I can, but that just happens to be the natural grade of the pond. As the pond gets deeper, as I get close to the dam, so I tried to get it way out here. Now the pump that I'm using is designed for septic systems. It's a 120 liter a minute septic system air pump. It's made by Fujimac. I think I got it from Wholesale Septics.com or something like that. Right now they're advertised to sell for $410 just for the air pump. I've got about 100 feet of the Matala weighted hose lying across the bottom to get out here where it is. That's going to run for a 100-foot hose. It's going to run you right now on Amazon. It runs $170 for 100 feet. You can buy shorter or longer lengths, obviously, for whatever your needs are. But I will tell you this. You can see it's running really good right now. But because I've got such a long hose, the pressure isn't that high down here because you've got all that dead space in the middle. So my diffuser gets a little clogged up from time to time and I have to actually come out here and pull it up and scrub it down. So what I've actually done is I tied a little bitty bottle on the end of it on a rope. The rope is just long enough to get the bottle just under the surface so I don't see it, but if I need to pull my aerator up, I can just come right out here to it, grab it, pull it up, scrub it down, and then drop it back down in there. But the diffuser does get a little dirty. It's circulating all that muck and stuff from the bottom and it's running past it, and I guess it's just coating it with that little bit of that stuff. But it takes 5 seconds to clean it and drop it back down, and right now I'm doing that. I don't have to do it once a month, but I'm doing it about once a month just to keep it at top performance, because you can tell a huge difference in just how much air is coming out when you clean it, right? So I do that about once a month. I wouldn't want to run any extra hose without stepping my air pump up. And the air pumps are pretty expensive, and the prices jump on those air pumps based on the volume of air that they produce. So if you want to run an 80 liter, they're dramatically more or less expensive than the 120 liter. So you can get away with an 80 or 100 if you're running a short line. If you need to run a long line, you're probably going to want a heavier pump. That's just my thoughts. I'm by no means an expert, so take this for what it is. This is just what I chose to do for my pond. And the reason why I chose not to go with the fountain type of setup is during the wintertime, you don't really want to run a fountain. A fountain's going to blast the water up in the air. If it's obviously in freezing temperatures, it's obviously going to freeze, so you don't want to run that. In addition, I can turn you around here and let you see, I put out a video where I'm talking about my pond dam, and it's got a few leaks here, 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 and here, and I've actually contracted a guy to come out here and dig that up and repack it to kind of fix some of those holes. But you can see how low my water level is. It should be really close to the top of that dam, not all the way to the top, but pretty close. And what a fountain's going to do is going to aid in the evaporation of what water I have left. I don't know how much it would actually evaporate, but obviously if it's been 95 degrees and dry the last couple of weeks, if I'm blasting water up in the air, obviously I'm going to lose more water than I'm doing with this aerator. So that's why I chose what I did. Oh, also, just another reason why I chose this, just most of you are probably more interested in this. This setup, that air pump cost me 400 bucks. The weighted hose, I bought it in two 50-foot sections, so it cost me a little bit more than if you just bought a 100-foot section, but a 100-foot section is going to cost you 170 bucks. The diffuser I bought from the pond guys online, it was 100 bucks. So you're already talking about $700 just for the hose and the pump and the diffuser. The fountains, if you've ever looked them up, the fountains can cost you thousands, multiple thousands of dollars for a fountain. And the fountain circulates it as well. Most of the fountains have a tube that runs down to the bottom so that it pulls water from the bottom and shoots that out of the top. It's not taking surface water that's already probably your most oxygenated water. It's pulling water from the bottom. So the fountains are a good option. You just have to turn them off in the wintertime. But anyways, that's why I chose what I chose. This is the most inexpensive option, and for me, it seems like the most effective. So anyways, I got a little bit of video that I recorded the last time I had this out, which was back in the spring. I took it up and I added some more line to it. So I'll show you a little clip of that so you can kind of see what it was like for me to set it up and some of the little bit of maintenance that I did to it. But anyways, I'll catch you on the next one. It's really not that dirty for being as old as it is. So the only real maintenance you have to do to these things is clean this, and after a year's worth of use, it barely got dirty. I think it's primarily because of where I keep it. I keep it underneath the porch, plugged up to where it never really gets any sun. It gets probably a little bit of water on it when the rain goes through the deck, but so basically this is what I'm using. This is 100 and I think it's a 120 liters per minute air pump made by Fujimac. If I can, I'll try to provide the link in the video description, but you can see I got it from wholesale-septic-supply.com. What I'm running is this 120 liter Fujimac. It's just an air pump. It's actually designed for septic systems, but it's designed to run, I think, 10 years maintenance free. And then I bought this diffuser. I tried to make a diffuser. I've made a couple of them. One, I just made a loop with some water hose and just drilled tiny holes in it. That worked okay. Didn't really work at the level I wanted it to. And then I went and I built one out of PVC and did the same thing with smaller holes, and it worked a lot better. But eventually it exploded, and it it was just pumping out air out of one spot, and it was just coming out like you just had the hose laying there. And a diffuser is gonna work much better for you. Now, I will say that what I did learn is to not put your diffuser directly on the bottom, just because it pushes air out so far and circulates the water so good that it churns the mud up. If you got a mud bottom pond, it's going to turn it like chocolate milk around the area that you're aerating. Now, this came from a website called The Pond Guys, and it's designed to lay on the bottom like this so that your diffuser's off the bottom, and that's perfect. But I don't know how I'm going to get it to the bottom and know that it's like this and not like this. Like, it is weighted here, so I think it's designed to fall that way. But just for safe measure, I'm going to strap this to a cinder block and then lower the cinder block down, and then that'll put it a good, 10-12 inches off the bottom. So let me get it set up and I'll show you what I got. All right, I've got it tied to the cinder block. I've got it on my floating dock, and now I'm going to back it out and I'm going to pull this hose kind of snug to where it pulls it off the bank, and pull it straight away from the house like this. But you kind of want to pull this out taut as you go. Sorry guys, I got you kind of facing right in the sun, but this is the way I got to face to get this out here, the way that I need to get it out here. This dock makes it a lot easier. Last time I did this, I did it in that little John boat up there. It did not work quite this well. I've got room to work. You can tell the aerator's pumping out a little water. That's just what was in the lines from the last time when I turned it off. It filled the lines up. All right, I'm getting kind of close to the end. You can see how far away from the house I am now. All right, so let's see. I want to drop it in with this rope so it doesn't just go plummeting to the bottom. And you can kind of see, hopefully, you can see what it's doing. That's perfect. All right, that's on the bottom. Now I need to get this rope out of there, and it's probably not going to work. Well, this rope doesn't slide too well the way I've got it rigged. Note to self, don't wrap it through there twice. I'll try that again. cool. All right, well, it's right under the boat now, so we're under the dock. So that's kind of what it's looking like now. And I'm a lot further out from the house than I was. I would like for it to be way out here, but that's as far as I got with two 50-foot hoses. But next pond project done.